Howdy, guys, and welcome to night 73 of Big Brother All Stars. And this is Cliff Notes from outside the Big Brother house. A good Saturday morning to all of y'all. Hope y'all are looking forward to a fantastic weekend. College football, Major League Baseball, all kinds of things going on. But before you get into those, let's talk about what happened in the Big Brother house last night. Because we did have a nomination ceremony late yesterday afternoon, early evening. We had nominations, so we know who's on the block. We will talk about that. We're going to have the veto competition today. It's going to be a huge, important competition to determine how this game ends up. We have that to look forward to. But before we talk about nominations, we had a little extracurricular activity yesterday. We'll call it that. A luxury competition that took place with the winner taking home $10,000. Woohoo! So we had that before nominations occurred. We did not see it on the live feed, so we don't know exactly what was involved in this competition, but everyone was wearing their BB Comics capes. And it sounds like each of the house guests picked past or former house guests from this season who somehow then competed against each other, and whoever had picked the final winning BB Comics superhero won the $10,000. Well, from what we can understand, from what we've heard, it sounds like the winner was Nicole, who picked Christmas, and it sounds like picked up the $10,000. So congratulations, Nicole. Got a little extra bling. So congratulations to you on that. Now, going from that to a lot of conversations. Do y'all remember Thursday night when Memphis went home, how giddy, how happy Christmas was that she had survived the block? She seemed particularly excited, particularly comfortable about her position. Well, 24 hours, not quite so much the happy feeling. The theme tonight is going to be a sad Christmas, the most sad Christmas that anyone could ever envision. It's been a rough 24 hours for Christmas, and lots of crying going on, and we'll talk about that through this entire coverage of the conversations. So with that in mind, let's start off in the love room. Christmas is alone. She's talking to the cameras, but she's crying quite a bit. Get ready for a lot of crying tonight. She's crying as she talks to the cameras. She's saying, look, it's not me missing out on a $10,000 that really has me upset. It's rather that I didn't go with my intuition and pick Memphis for the game. Now, we don't know what went into picking people, and if it's just purely random who won, or there was something to be said. We just don't know. But she's feeling bad that she didn't pick Memphis, her ride or die, and instead Nicole did, and then Nicole won the money. But it doesn't have anything to do with $10,000. It's the fact that she didn't pick the person that she was tightest with in the game. I personally would be a little more upset that I didn't win the $10,000, but that's okay. Now, along with that, she's talking about how upset she is. She's saying that she wants to see her family. She wants a cocktail without restrictions. She wants to see her son Loyal. She says how much she's missing Memphis, who's been gone less than 24 hours. So it's a very short period of time before she's really starting to miss Memphis as well. During this conversation to the camera, she is laughing at one point, and she's saying, I can't believe how easily I can get under Cody's skin, and that she knows that Cody has an issue with her. Well, yeah, I mean, Cody knows that if Christmas has the ability to do it, she's sending Cody out the door. So yes, Cody has Christmas in his targets as her primary person he'd like to see booted, and it makes sense. But she's talking about, Cody just doesn't like me. It's so easy to get him all pumped up and worked up and irritated with me and everything else. She is annoyed that Enzo hasn't told her that she's not going on the block, that he's been very non-committal, won't say that she's being protected from the block, and that's got her very annoyed. Why? It doesn't really matter, Christmas. Who goes on the block doesn't matter. It's who wins the veto that determines who goes home. So to say that that you're upset at this, worry about after we know who's got the veto and how that's going to play. Right now, who goes on, doesn't go on, doesn't really matter that much, except it could say something about loyalties and alliances and such. If she suddenly is thinking that Enzo may not protect her, then she's also probably thinking that may say something about his loyalty to her as opposed to his loyalty to Cody and Nicole. So maybe that's what has her upset more than the actual physicality of being put on the block itself. Now, I mentioned that the veto winner decides who goes home. Here's a little bar bet, a little trivia, Big Brother trivia for you. Does the person who wins veto in the final four always determine who goes home that week? And the answer is no, not always. You do have a scenario this season. You have the scenario if Enzo, who is HOH, also was to win the veto, then he gets the final say on which two people go on the block. But Enzo isn't voting. It's the person that's not on the block who actually casts the vote and decides which person stays and which person goes home. So when the HOH winner also wins a veto, the person who wins a veto is not the one who sends someone home and makes that final decision. Just your little bit of trivia that you can use to win a beer at a bar somewhere. And you can thank me for that. All right. Now, again, Christmas is crying. In addition to being annoyed with Enzo, I think she's also, and she mentions the fact that she realizes that Cody is gunning for her and that the other three are against her. She's suddenly realizing that she thought she had some alliances that she doesn't have, that she is going to be the lone wolf against these other three, and everything is up to her if she wants to get to the end and win this thing. She's saying she doesn't want to go to the diary room. She doesn't want to do anything. She just wants to hide under her blanket, cry all day, and daydream about being home. Now, here's something to think about. As much as I said it doesn't matter who goes on the block or who doesn't in the final four, is there something to be said from Enzo's point of view in playing the game? Is there something to be said for protecting Christmas, not putting her on the block as a way to capture her jury vote if you make it to final two? Don't put her on the block. Put Cody and Nicole up instead. Assuming one of them wins a veto, they pull himself off. Christmas goes up. They vote Christmas out the door, theoretically. Enzo has no blood on his hands as with regards to Christmas. When Christmas is in the jury house and she's getting ready to vote, if Enzo's up there, does it make it that much easier to cast a vote for Enzo as opposed to the two people who sent Christmas out the door? So there may be something to be said for that. Now, if Enzo did that, he may also be sending a message he doesn't want to send to Cody and Nicole, that maybe he doesn't see their loyalties to him as much as Christmas. So you have to kind of balance out against each other. But perception's reality sometimes, and you have to think about even the finest little things when you're doing this. All right, so we've got that. Nicole comes into the love room. Christmas is still there. She comes in to comfort Christmas. She sees how much she's been crying. She says, look, people, sometimes you just have to let it out. It's okay. Christmas tells her, she says, I don't want to mope around all day. I don't want to be out there talking to the guys crying and all of that. So please don't tell Mom I'm in here crying. Just let me have my time and it'll be all right. Nicole says, yeah, no, I'm fine. I promise. So Nicole leaves, immediately goes to Enzo and Cody and says, she's crying. She's crying so much in there, guys. She says she misses Memphis. She's just really not doing well at all. So not so good at holding promises and pledges, Nicole, in this particular situation. We do have the feeds cut for the nomination ceremony around 5 o'clock or so, I think, Big Brother time. When they come back from the feeds, apparently on the block are Christmas and Nicole. Not a huge surprise. Doesn't surprise me at all that that's who Enzo picked, that he kept Cody off the block. Enzo is talking to Cody at this point in time, I think, saying, man, Christmas, yo, Christmas is upset. I knew she would be. We're going to have a fight on our hands now. So Christmas is not taking it well at all. Cody comes out of the diary room and Nicole starts talking to him, says, Cody, Christmas is upset. She won't speak to anyone at all. She's upset that Enzo didn't tell her that she was going on the block, that basically she was blindsided by the vote. I don't know if you can be so blindsided when there's 3 people and 2 of them have to go up, but she feels like she was blindsided. Cody, at this point in time, goes up to the HOH room and tells Enzo, says, oh, Enzo, man, Christmas is bleeping pissed at you. She is upset. Enzo saying, yo, man, come on. I told her that it didn't make sense for me to put up the strongest competitor, you, Cody. It didn't make sense for me to put you up and get you mad at me. That doesn't make any sense at all. Christmas apparently responded back to Enzo by saying, look, if you put Cody on the block, you could have ruffled him enough, got him upset, nervous enough that maybe he wouldn't play the veto competition as well, and you could have helped make sure he didn't win the veto, Enzo. Well, I'm not sure Cody really would have fallen apart so much as she thinks just because he was on the block. But on the other hand, I do think we've seen this season that Christmas doesn't always perform as well under pressure and stress. And I do think that Christmas is not going to be playing this veto competition nearly as well because she is so just kind of having a little bit of a breakdown today, and it's going to carry over into tomorrow, I do believe. But so we have that. At that point, let's see. The feed's cut out for a little bit. When we come back, Christmas is going into the diary room, and Nicole is talking to Cody, and she's saying, I am scared of Christmas right now, and this is the maddest that I have ever seen her. Enzo is scared of her as well, Cody. She's really worked up. And Cody's saying, yeah, I know. Enzo told me he's not even going to talk to her today because it's just not going to be worth it. He's going to talk to her later because she's so worked up. All right, so Cody and Nicole are discussing possible veto competitions. They're studying the memory wall just in case it's a face swap competition, something like that. Such a hard challenge. We didn't have it in my season, but such a hard challenge trying to study those faces. They're saying how hard it is just to isolate the nose, the eyes, of trying to cover up other pieces. I used a paper towel roll and held it up kind of like a telescope or a periscope so I could just zoom in on a nose, on lips, on eyes to try to memorize those things. But it's a tough thing to memorize all those faces for a competition, but they're trying. So at this point in time, Christmas is back in bed. She's crying under the covers, as in most of the evening. Nicole is telling Enzo and Cody, talk about the nomination ceremony, which I'm going to be excited to see when they show it on the episode. She's saying how Christmas was so incredibly happy when Nicole's face popped up first for the nomination. She was just very excited. But then all of a sudden her face popped up second and she just changed completely, was incredibly mad and upset at that point in time. I want to watch that nomination ceremony. I truly do. So she got very mad at that point. Enzo then is in the HOH room complaining about Christmas. He's saying, oh my God, she's so crazy, yo, call her crazy. Now she's upset. What the bleep, yo? Should have just put Cody up. But it is what it is. So he sees how upset she is. He's wondering if maybe he should have just avoided the whole thing by going ahead and putting Cody up. But he's also telling himself that Christmas would have put him and Cody up if she'd won HOH, and I'm sure she would have. So it's just a game, you know. I seem to recall a conversation Christmas, I think maybe back when Nicole Anthony was on the block, saying, oh, this whining and crying. If I'm ever put on the block, I'm just going to, take it. It's nothing personal, and I'm not going to do it the way it's being done right now. Well, maybe you're doing a little more like back then than you thought you would. So, all right. In the HOH room at this point, Cody and Enzo are talking. Enzo is worried that Christmas and Nicole may have teamed up. And Cody said, nah, the two of them, they didn't team up. Nicole's still with us. But Enzo says he's going to talk to Christmas tomorrow, and he knows if he wins veto, Christmas is going to ask him to use it to pull her off the block. Well, of course she is. So she makes the final decision between Cody and Nicole, who goes home. Absolutely, she's going to be campaigning for that. But the thing is, the way Christmas is acting right now should make Enzo even less willing to really gun for this veto. I'm thinking if I'm Enzo, maybe I just play a little low, throw it, let someone else win that veto competition, get the blood on their hands, and Enzo can always say, just didn't win her, I would have pulled you off, Christmas. But I'd want to stay away from this if I was Enzo. He's already safe, he's already protected, so I don't know what he gains other than another competition victory, which from a resume standpoint for the jury could be important. But they're going over what to say to Christmas. Cody says, hey, tell Christmas that you wanted me to feel at ease and safe so that I wouldn't maybe be playing for the veto quite as much, and just that Christmas just needs to win the veto. All right, so now in the key room, Cody's checking in on Christmas, saying that he knows she's upset. Let him know if she needs anything. She says she'll be okay. It's just been a rough 24 hours. She isn't mad at Cody personally. And finally, in the bathroom, Enzo and Nicole are talking. Enzo is saying how bad he feels for Christmas, that she's taking it so personally and emotionally. He's just feeling bad about it. It's a game, but he still feels bad. He says he wants to go find her, tell her he's sorry, and just let her yell at him, get it all out by yelling at him as much as possible. But he's still kind of scared of her because he keeps saying he's going to do it, but eventually he says, yeah, just wait till tomorrow to talk to her. I'm going to let her just sleep tonight. So that's how it finishes up. At this point, all are in bed except for Enzo, who's pacing the hallway upstairs, thinking everything through. Eventually, he calls it a night as well. And there you have it, guys. Again, the evening of sad Christmas.